So, all right, it is the 17th of May. We got Riley and Rob here. First lab meeting of kind of the official summer. We're going to be doing lab meetings, I think, every 2 weeks hereafter. Enough to kind of keep everybody talking and doing stuff, but not enough to ruin everybody's summer. So, and no more lab meetings, I think, on campus. This will all be by Zoom. Okay, so a couple of quick things. One was, I think a while ago, we had, DJI has a new like Osmo camera that's basically the camera that they put on their Mavic on a stick to image interior spaces and things like that. So it's basically just a gimbal mounted camera. I saw that they're selling like a little like attachment thing to like carry your drone around. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know whether we want it or not, but this is kind of another one of those like note to self. This was kind of something for maybe Rob and Hudson. This is a webinar coming up. Mapbox is putting this on. So Mapbox is one of the kind of cloud-based GIS mapping organizations. They're doing a lot of cool work. And so this is one of their AR applications that I think is pretty cool. So it's going to be merging the camera and like putting directions on there. I'd love to try this out and see how well it works. And it's good for everybody, I think, to kind of be up on this technology. So, you know, Riley, if you're interested in this, it's at least worth a download. I'm going to watch the webinar. It's free. That's Tuesday, so I'll probably be tuning in and report on that back to the group. But if anybody else is interested in watching the thing, should be interesting. The other one is an FAA drone webinar, flying in Class E airspace. Most of the time we fly in uncontrolled Class G airspace, but you can fly in nearly any airspace, but you're going to have to get permissions and you're going to have to be talking to people. When you're flying in Class G airspace, you can kind of do whatever you want, subject to the normal rules, flying under 400 feet and stuff. But you can fly in controlled airspace. You just need to talk to people. This is something I've avoided doing. I've never really had a lot of reason. I've never had anything that's come up that I've even been interested in flying in Class E airspace, but I suppose at some point I will, and it'll be good to know what the rules are before we get there.
Could you post that link to the Slack channel if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, totally.
Great.
This was kind of an interesting one. This was kind of more for probably Earl, but Riley, you're probably interested in this. When you are flying a Pix40 mission with a drone trying to generate imagery, you have a choice of how much overlap to fly, right? So to make the structure from motion work, where you're kind of identifying common points in multiple photographs, you obviously need to have the same thing appear in more than one photograph, right? So the question is, if I fly really far apart, then I won't have much overlap on the images, and so I won't generate a lot of those common points. So if you flew at like 25% overlap, you wouldn't generate a very good model at all. On the other hand, if you fly at 100% overlap, you're not ever going anywhere, right? Like you have to stay parked. So there's a compromise between, you know, being able to actually move around and image stuff and trying to get as much as you can in there. Normally people fly, I think 80% is kind of a standard. You can push that a little bit lower if you want. So some people will fly stuff at 70%. A lot of people, one of the options in the Pix40 Mapper app is to fly at 90% overlap. I just flew a mission with that actually last week. I should have mentioned that. The results were really good. The problem is that it takes a lot more time to fly at 90% overlap. So I don't know, Riley, if you were there when we bumped it from 80 to 90 and it like added 10 minutes onto the flight. So there's a big cost there. But interestingly enough, there are also costs associated with sometimes more is not better from the algorithm's perspective. So the more images that you have to generate, the longer it's going to take. But it may actually So this is a post that was posted to a Facebook group that talks about this stuff. So he kind of is talking about his results, but he said, in the end, this dramatically slowed down processing time and created problems with multiple surfaces, blocks, and failed models, all for little or no benefit on model stability, clarity, or resolution. So this is something that we work with in GIS all the time. Higher resolution data is not always better data. So that's interesting to see this. So they're kind of settling in at this 80% overlap. So that's interesting to see. It's been a pretty busy week, so I haven't had a ton of time for my own research. I did pick around a little bit with ROS. Last week I reported that we got the HDL GraphSlam working. I had it successfully ran it on one of my old geography building at Northern Illinois University, Davis Hall, on the second floor. So a few days ago, I tried to rerun some data, ran into some problems. I thought I was doing the same thing as I did on Friday, and I wasn't. So I had to go back and revise some of those instructions. So this is why it's good to. This stuff is unbelievably like, you try a thing and it didn't work, and you try a thing and it didn't work, and you sort of think you're keeping good notes, but obviously I missed something. But anyway, the instructions that are on GitHub, the GitHub wiki, should be pretty good now. So I reran the Davis Hall second floor stuff. The problem actually, Rob, if you're interested, was you know how I said I was creating a second launch file where I was commenting out a couple lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not necessary apparently. I don't know what I was.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't need to do that, I guess. I could have sworn I needed to do that, but then it worked.
Oh yeah, that was one thing I was looking up. The way they have that launch file set up is that it's like the thing that needs to get changed is like a variable. So you could just create a second like launch file and then change it to what you need to. But you should be able to right after you say like ROS launch the launch file, you just set the variable name, and then you give the colon equals to whatever it is. And it should work the same.
I don't know if I know that.
Yeah, I haven't played with it too much. I can give it a try later.
Okay. I did run so I reran the second floor. That turned out fine. I ran it on the interior. Rob will know these buildings. I ran it on the interior of a Holmes Student Center. And I got some weird misalignments. It was, the scan didn't reconstruct it perfectly. It was pretty good, but it wasn't great. I did an exterior test on Altgeld Hall, and that was terrible. The whole thing pretty much failed out. It made a model, but it looked awful. And then I had gathered data. I mounted the thing on my Jeep and kind of driven around, and I have that data somewhere. But I want to dig that out and see if I can run it on that. A couple scans of campus and a couple scans of the neighborhood. So hopefully that stuff will work. I've been spending a lot of time today just organizing the data. This project has kind of had tentacles that interface with a lot of different projects that I've been working on. So I just kind of need to re-aggregate all of the data into one place so that I can find it. Last week, I met Todd Ogle. So he is a director of one of the virtual reality spaces here on campus at Virginia Tech. He and I have a ton of overlap, so he's interested in the Velodyne LiDAR, he's interested in virtual reality, he's interested in applications to archaeology. So I think Todd will be a good guy to know. And I need to send his contact information to Hudson, maybe a good committee member for him. I didn't put goals on my slides this week, but the goals are kind of what they've been. I need to carve out some time to work on the website, and I just haven't had time to do that. So that's kind of the next big thing for me. So I may be bugging you guys about pictures, little blurbs about yourself so we can put that stuff on the website. That stuff is good. So Rob, when you're going out and applying for jobs and you put stuff on your resume, if they Google you, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, you want one of the first pages they land on to be like, Rob Kondratowicz working at this lab. Kind of makes things official, and they go, oh, okay, like that's legit. It checks out. So hopefully that stuff will help you guys out. So that's all I got. I guess I'll probably be working on the ROS stuff a little bit more. But Rob, you got any ROS stuff that you did this week?
Yeah, I do. Just like two small things. First small thing, which is kind of unrelated but kind of interesting, is I made or I was able to get a desktop environment working with WSL, which is kind of wonky, but it works.
Okay.
Yeah, just a random thing. I tried and I thought it might work, and it actually did. There's a couple of caveats, but.
So a desktop environment with Windows or the subsystem for Linux?
Yeah. So I have like a. Looks like a regular Windows thing, or it looks like a regular Linux desktop. Like, the start menu, or like the panels that they call them, and then like all the it all works. It's just inside a Windows window.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Can you update the instructions on the wiki for that? Because I'd love to give that a try.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot you can do in it because it's like interesting to get it working, but then you realize like what do you do with it, and there's not a whole lot you can. So, but It's interesting nonetheless.
Well, maybe it's not worth the trouble, but I do want to get the Connect working. So I want to get the AR Sandbox working again, and I'd love to be able to do it in a Windows subsystem for Linux.
Okay.
The other thing is, I don't know if you have time to take a look around for this stuff, Rob, but the AR Sandbox, I think that people have kind of come up with some variants on that. It occurred to me that like there shouldn't be any reason why you couldn't do, I don't know, something a little bit more lightweight than this whole like Linux thing. Like, there's not that much going on with the thing,
Yeah, I think the main reason why we had to do it that way was because like the only code that was available for it, or any kind of, the only like version of it that was available was Linux, or like you had to compile it yourself. It was Avro Kralos's stuff. So
you think you can poke around a little bit and see if there's anything to do with like if there are other variations of that now? I'd come across a couple on GitHub when I was looking around a few months ago. I don't think I have any links to send you, but if I have some time, I'll see if I can get you started. But it seems like people have adapted this and maybe made it a little bit more streamlined.
Sure, I can take a look into it and see what there is.
All right, cool, thanks. And I should mention, we're doing the lab is officially supposed to do a demo for the alumni when they come on June 8th. So Riley, I don't know if you're still in town on the 8th.
Uh-huh. I can be.
Yeah, if I'll send the message out to Hudson as well, and I don't know if Josh hasn't really been a big part of the lab, but if he wants to get more involved, he can be. I could use even just a couple people just to make it look like it's a real lab.
Yeah. Is it a drone demo or similar?
No, we're just laying out all like the lab toys and kind of talking about the different projects that we have going on. So if you wanted to like gin something up and talk about like what you're planning on doing with White Top Mountain,
okay.
Maybe have some of the LiDAR data. You could like put your poster up that you made for AAG. Or no, you didn't do a poster. You did a presentation.
No, but I do have something I could probably pull together.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think people would be interested to see it, and you can talk about it.
Okay, great.
But yeah, I'm probably going to set up. The plan is to set up the drones, some of the 3D printed models, set up some augmented reality stuff. If I can get the LiDAR scanner, I'll probably get that going and project that onto the screen or something so people can kind of see what that looks like.
Okay. Sounds great.
Cool. Riley, any updates? Rob, anything else from you this week?
The one other small thing was I I started working with the cartographer. I was able to download it, build it, and that's as far as I got.
Okay, it's a good start.
So, yeah.
Any hiccups with that, or did it go pretty smoothly?
There was one big hiccup. That being, it doesn't build when it has HDL. When the HDL GraphSlam package is also on the same workspace.
Do you have a sense of how to move them from like one workspace to another, or how to like? I'm not really quite sure how that workspace stuff works.
So like the workspace is pretty much like the compiler in a weird sense for the packages, and then like the packages are like the HDL Slam Graph and Google Cartographer, and you can just simply copy and paste or delete those folders that are the packages.
Where would you paste them if you wanted to keep them but didn't want to keep them on your workspace?
Outside of the workspace, wherever.
Just anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should the Catkin that build thing should only build packages that are inside of the Catkin workspace folder.
So would you just copy like all of the source and build folders out of the Catkin workspace?
Not the build folders. You would copy and paste the package folders inside of SRC or the source.
Okay. So you don't need the build stuff anymore after it's built?
No. It's like the SRC, like it doesn't put the build, like the executables or whatever it is, inside of the source files. That puts it in the build folder. And then if you get rid of a package and if you get rid of a package inside of inside the source folder, it should delete any builds or executables inside of the build folder.
I'm thinking more if like I wanted to like install, I wanted to keep HDL GraphSlam working and build Cartographer.
The way I would do that right now is have a different workspace. So I have a second workspace, but I'll take a look into seeing if you can build HDL GraphSlam and then sort of like copy and paste it like out the executable and see if that still works.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that works, but I'll take a look into that.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks. Riley, what's up with you?
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot, but I'll talk about a few recent events this past week. Can you hear me all right? I'm on my headphone here.
Yep. I can hear you.
Okay, so on Wednesday, May 15th, our lab held an alumni demonstration where we had a visualization on a TV screen of postgraduate alumni locations, right? So students would come up and report where they planned to go after they graduated, and we had a QR code and a computer data entry station, and then a point would appear on the map on a big TV screen. Just sort of neat, like kind of like the modern equivalent of like the old school push pin map, right? The event went super well. We had over 150 new entries to the map.
Cool.
And lots of interest from administrators. I've emailed to set up a meeting with the assistant vice president of alumni relations. Haven't heard back yet, but hoping maybe for a meeting next week that some of us could attend and talk to them about potentialities of the demonstrations and the data. And so we also had someone from Student Affairs, Laura Whedon, who's interested in sending out a screenshot of the map to students in her kind of farewell email. And she also was wondering if she could send us all of the 2019 student data, like information, I guess for more information she has on where students are going, and if we could add that to the map.
Sure.
So I told her that we could totally do that. And she's going to give credit to Department of Geography. And I was maybe going to ask if she could say something about Near Earth Imaging Lab also.
Okay.
In her email, which, you know, would be nice. So that went really well. Just kind of wrapping things up this week with classes. I didn't have any final exams, so it gave me a chance to focus on other things. I'm starting to study for the Part 107 exam, which I hope to take in a few weeks here. And supposed to meet with Lisa this afternoon, so I should also be scheduling my first committee meeting, Dr. Pringle. So maybe we'll send out some tentative times that you can pick which ones work for you and Valerie Thomas.
Okay.
Also, if you and
What's
I can get together, go ahead.
Let me ask you a question on that one real quick. So your proposal, what is is this like a committee meeting before the proposal gets written? The proposal is going to get written over the summer?
Yes, the proposal's finalized over the summer. It's I have a draft written, but it needs some work, so I need to devote some serious time to that. But I'll get a draft out to you guys as soon as it's ready.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we need to schedule a time to fly White Top at your convenience. So
yeah, I'm pull up my calendar. My calendar is pretty open for next week.
Okay.
Friday's probably not a great day, but the FAA webinar is Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. But okay. I suppose we could just watch that on the way back.
Okay, we could do that.
Oh, and I'm not free Tuesday morning.
Okay.
So maybe Wednesday or Thursday would work okay?
Wednesday might work best for me. Thursday may work as well if we got an early start.
All right, so put it on the calendar for Wednesday.
Okay, great. Maybe we'll plan to leave at 8 a.m. again, or 9, or whatever works for you.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Okay, great. And that's all I got.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, guys. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Riley, I guess I'll probably see you next week.
Okay.
But, yeah, Rob, keep in touch about the cartographer.
Will do.
Okay. All right. See you guys.
Great. Good seeing you guys.
See ya.
Bye.